The Kena Upanishad is a Vedic Sanskrit text classified as one of the primary or Mukhya Upanishads that is embedded inside the last section of the Talavakara Brahmanam of the Samar Veda. It is listed as number 2 in the Muktika, the canon of the 108 Upanishads of Hinduism. Structure. The Kena Upanishad is a short but significant collection of 28 main paragraphs plus 6 epilogue paragraphs, for a total of 34 paragraphs. It has an unusual structure where the first 13 verses composed as a metric poem. The poem is followed by 15 prose paragraphs of main texts plus 6 prose paragraphs of epilogue. Paul Dayson suggests that the latter, prose section of the main text is far more ancient than the poetic first section, and Kena Upanishad bridged the more ancient prose Upanishad era with the metric poetic era of Upanishads that followed. Composition. The Kena Upanishad was probably composed sometime around the middle of the first millennium BCE. It is remarkable for its discussion of Brahman with attributes and without attributes, and for being a treatise on purely conceptual knowledge. It asserts that the efficient cause of all the gods, symbolically envisioned as forces of nature, is Brahman. This has made it a foundational scripture to Vedanta school of Hinduism, both the theistic and monistic subschools after varying interpretations. The Kena Upanishad is also significant in asserting the idea of spiritual man. Soul is a wonderful being that even gods worship. Atman exists, and knowledge and spirituality are the goals and intense longing of all creatures. Etymology. Kena literally means, depending on the object-subject context, by what, by whom, whence, how, why, from what cause. This root of Kena, in the sense of by whom or from what cause, is found the inquisitive first verse of the Kena Upanishad as follows. Sent by whom, flies out thither the mind, harnessed by whom, roves thither the first breath, who sends out the speech which we speak. Who is the deva that harnesses the ears and eyes? Kena Upanishad 1.1, translated by Paul Dayson. The Kena Upanishad belongs to the Talavakara Brahmana of Samaveda, giving the etymological roots of an alternate name of Talavakara Upanishad for it, in ancient and medieval era Indian texts. The Kena Upanishad is also referred to as the Kenopanishad. Chronology. The chronology of Kena Upanishad, like other Vedic texts, is unclear and contested by scholars. All opinions rest on scanty evidence, an analysis of archaism, style and repetitions across texts, driven by assumptions about likely evolution of ideas, and on presumptions about which philosophy might have influenced which other Indian philosophies. Phillips dates Kena Upanishad as having been composed after Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya, Isha, Taittiriya and Aitareya but before Katha, Mundaka, Prasna, Mandukya, Svetasvatara and Maitri Upanishads, as well as before the earliest Buddhist Pali and Jaina canons. Ranade posits a view similar to Phillips, with slightly different ordering, placing Kena chronological composition in the third group of ancient Upanishads. Paul Dayson considers Kena Upanishad to be bridging a period of prose composition and fusion of poetic creativity with ideas. Winternetz considers the Kena Upanishad as pre-Buddhist, pre-Jaina literature. Many of the ideas found in Kena Upanishads have more ancient roots. For example, the ideas in verse 2 of Kena Upanishad are found in the oldest Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, chapter 4.4, as well as the second oldest Chandogya Upanishad, chapter 8.12. Structure. Kena Upanishad has 3 parts. 13 verses in the first part, 15 paragraphs in the second part, and 6 paragraphs in the epilogue. These are distributed in 4 khandis. The first khanda has 8 verses, the second has 5 verses, the third khanda has 12 paragraphs, while the fourth khanda has the remaining 9. The first 2 khandis of Kena Upanishad are poems, the last 2 are prose, with one exception. Paragraph 9 is prose and structurally out of place. which has led scholars to state that the paragraph 9 was inserted or is a corrupted version of the original manuscript in a more modern era. Another odd structural feature of Kena Upanishad's poetic candice is verse 3, which has 8 lines. While all other poetic verses in the first 2 sections are only 4 lines of mathematical metric construction, there are some differences in the positioning of Kena Upanishad in manuscripts discovered in different parts of India. It is, for example, the 9th chapter of Talavakara Brahmana in South Indian manuscripts and as mentioned in the Bhashya by Shankara, while the Bernal manuscript of sections of Samaveda places it in the 10th Anuvakar of the 4th chapter. The Kena Upanishad is accepted as part of Samaveda, but it is also found in manuscripts of Atharva collection. The difference between the 2 versions is minor and structural. In Samaveda manuscripts, the Kena Upanishad has 4 sections, while the Atharva manuscripts show no such division into sections. Contents. Nature of knowledge. First canto. The Kena Upanishad opens by questioning the nature of man, the origins, the essence and the relationship of him with knowledge and sensory perception. It then asserts that knowledge is of 2 types, empirical and conceptual. Empirical knowledge can be taught, described and discussed. Conceptual axiomatic knowledge cannot, states Kena Upanishad. Pure, abstract concepts are learnt and realized instead, wherein it mentions that the highest reality is Brahman. There the eye goes not, speech goes not, nor the mind. We know not, we understand not, how one would teach it. Other is it indeed than the known, and moreover above the unknown. Thus from the forebearers, the doctrine has been transmitted to us. Kena Upanishad 1.3a and 1.3b, translated by Woodburn in verse 4, Kena Upanishad asserts that Brahman cannot be worshipped, because it has no attributes and is unthinkable, indescribable, eternal, all-present reality. That what man worships is neither Atman Brahman nor the path to Atman Brahman. Rather, Brahman is that which cannot be perceived as empirical reality. It is that which hears the sound in ears, sees the view in eyes, speaks the words of speech, smells the aroma in breath, comprehends the meaning in thought. The Atman Brahman is in man, not that which one worships outside. Woodburn interprets the first canto of Kena Upanishad differently, stating it is describing that which is called faith in theism and in major religions such as Christianity. Certain ideas such as God are felt not known, the way to God is faith not knowledge, and Kena's first section, states Woodburn, is resonating with the Christian idea of God. Shankara interprets the first canto entirely as monistic. Self-awakening is the source of inner strength. Second canto. The second canto of Kena Upanishad starts with prose paragraph 9 that inserts a theistic theme, asserting that the worshipping of Brahman, described in the first canto, is deception because that is phenomenal form of Brahman, one among gods. Verses 10 to 13 return to the poetic form, and the theme of what knowing Brahman is and what knowing Brahman is not. Verses 12 and 13 of Kena describe the state of self-realization, stating that those who are self-awakened gain inner strength, see the spiritual oneness in every being, and attain immortality. Charles Johnston refers to the state as the spiritual man. He, in whom it, Atman Brahman, awakes, knows it and finds immortality that he is itself, gives him strength that he knows it, gives immortality. He, who found it here below, possesses the truth. For him who has not found it here, it is great destruction, in every being. The wise being perceives it, and departing out of this world, becomes immortal. Kena Upanishad 2.122.13, translated by Paul Deus. An allegory of 3 gods and 1 goddess, 3rd and 4th cantos. The third section of Kena is a fable, set in prose, unlike the first 2 poetic sections. The fable is an allegory, states Paul Deison. The allegory is, states the theosophist Charles Johnston, a delicious piece of Sanskrit prose, fascinating in its simple style, and one of the deepest passages in all of Upanishads. The fable begins by asserting that in a war between gods and demons, the Brahman won victory for the gods. The gods, however, praised themselves for the victory, saying, "Of us is this victory, of us is this might and glory." The Brahman noticed this. It revealed itself before the gods, who did not recognize and know it. The gods said, "What is this wonderful being?" They delegated god Agni to go discover who this wonderful being is. Agni rushed to Brahman. The Brahman asked, "Who are you?" Agni replied, "I am Agni, knower of beings." Brahman asked, "If so, what is the source of your power?" Agni replied, "I am able to burn whatever is on earth." The Brahmin then laid a piece of grass before Agni, and said, "Burn this." Then, Agni rushed to the grass and tried his best to burn it. He failed. He turned back and returned to the gods. Agni told the gods, "I am unable to discover what this wonderful being is." The gods then nominated god Vayu to go and explore. "O Vayu, what this wonderful being is." Vayu rushed to Brahman. The Brahman asked, "Who are you?" Vayu replied, "I am Vayu, I am Matarasvan." Brahman asked, "If so, what is the source of your power?" Vayu replied, "I am able to carry or pull whatever is on earth." The Brahmin then laid a piece of grass before Vayu, and said, "Carry this." Then, Vayu rushed to the grass and tried his best to lift and carry it away. He failed. He turned back and returned to the gods. Vayu told his fellow gods, "I am unable to discover what this wonderful being is." The gods then turned to god Indra to go and explore. "O mighty one, what this wonderful being is." "So be it," said Indra. Indra went to Brahman. There, in the place of Brahman, he found a beautiful woman with knowledge. Her name was Uma. Indra asked Uma, "What is this wonderful being?" Goddess Uma replied, "That is the Brahman, that is the one who obtained victory." Though gods praise themselves for it, Indra then knew. The tradition holds that Agni, Vayu and Indra are elevated above all other gods, respected first in ceremonies and rituals, because these three met and experienced the Brahman first. Indra is most celebrated because he knew Brahman first among all gods. Translations by Dayasson and by Johnston states, as does the Hindu scholar Adi Shankara, that this simple story is loaded with symbolism. The Brahman, the three gods selected from numerous Vedic gods, and choice of the one goddess from many. The goddess Uma revealing spiritual knowledge about Brahman rather than the Brahman itself, as well the phrasing of the type, the wonderful being, are all allegorically referring to the spiritual themes of the Upanishads. Agni embodies fire and symbolizes natural self, with vital fire in all beings and everything. Vayu embodies space that envelops empirical existence, symbolizes mental self, akin to thoughts about everything. Indra embodies lightning, light and illumination, thus symbolizing causal conscious self, with light of truth that discerns correct knowledge from incorrect. The Brahman is Atman, the eternal. The war between gods and demons is symbolism for the war between good and evil. Devas themselves are allegorical reference to sensory and intellectual capabilities of man, with the war symbolizing challenges a man faces in his journey through life. Kenya Upanishad's allegory is suggesting that empirical actions, such as destruction by fire or moving a being from one place to another, does not lead to knowing the essence of the subject, the wonderful being. The Upanishad is allegorically reminding that a victory of good over evil is not of manifested self, but of the good, the eternal, the Atman Brahman. Epilogue. Fourth Canto. The epilogue in Kenya Upanishad is contained in last 6 paragraphs of the text. It asserts the timelessness and awareness of Brahman to be similar to moments of wondrous awe in life, such as the focused exclamation one makes upon witnessing lightning flash in the sky, or the focused recollection of a knowledge in one's mind of a memory from past. The goal of spiritual knowledge, of self-awareness, is wonderful, characterized by an intense longing for it in all creatures. States Kenya Upanishad. The knowledge of Atman Brahman is Tadvanam. In the final paragraphs, Kena Upanishad asserts ethical life as the foundation of self-knowledge and of Atman Brahman. Tapas, Dhamma, work, these are the foundations. The Vedas are the limbs of the same, the truth is its fulcrum. Kena Upanishad 4.8 Reception. Adi Shankar wrote 2 commentaries on Kenopanishad. One is called Kenopanishad Padabhasya and the other is Kenopanishad Vakyabhasya. In his commentary on the third kanda of Kena Upanishad, Shankara equates Atman Brahman with Ishvara Parameshvara. This equality is repeated by Shankara in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya in verses 3, 7.3 and IV 4.15. In the Bhashya on Chandogya Upanishads verses I 1.1 and V 18.1, Katha Upanishads Bhashya on him 11.2.13. Anandanyana also wrote a commentary on Kena Upanishad. Till late 19th century, the commentary of Shankara and Anandanyana were the only implied source of the existence of Kena Upanishad, as original manuscripts of Upanishad were believed to have been lost, after Dara Shikoh published a Persian translation of it. This changed in 1878, when Bernal found a manuscript and later published it. The French scholar Anquetil Duperron published a Latin translation from the Persian translated version with the title Kin, while Windusman and others published a German translation of the Kena Upanishad. Colebrook, Poley, Weber, Rower and Goff are among the scholars who have discussed it. George Haas includes a reading of Kena Upanishad, along with other primary Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, as essential to understanding the wonderful old treasures of Hindu theosophic law. Edward Washburn Hopkins states that the aphoristic mention of Tapo Dhamma Karma in closing prose parts of Kena Upanishad suggests that ethical precepts of yoga were well accepted in Indian spiritual traditions by the time Kena Upanishad was composed. Similarly, Srimali cites Kena Upanishad, among other ancient Sanskrit texts, to state that knowledge-seeking and education system was formalized by 1st millennium BCE in India, highlighting among many examples the question-answer structure of first kanda of Kena Upanishad. Fred Dalmer cites Kena Upanishad's opening lines to state that Upanishad's primary focus is Atman Brahman in Hindu theosophy. These opening lines state, Brahman is all of which the Upanishads speak. Kena Upanishad opening lines. David Stoll composed Sonata for 2 pianos in 1990 inspired by the opening verses of Kena Upanishad.